as a writer, you couldn't. It couldn't be that. It would never be that good.
All of those are such fucking.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Talkin Guff. Number 7. This is episode number 7. This is like the most committed I've ever been to anything in my life.
For sure, yeah. 7 version, yeah. 7. Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. I have a funny story, but I won't say it actually. So
that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, we think of funny things and we don't say
I
them.
won't tell you.
So yeah, Ruben Jenga Pouch.
Lenny,
Lenjamin.
Richardson.
Hey, welcome back, Glenn, Rob over there. We have obviously again on the technical 1s and 2s, the eye candy, Mr. Rob Slattery. Holy pony. And tell me this, how was everyone's week?
Yeah, good man, good, yeah.
Feeling good.
Few ups, few downs, but you know, definitely
That's
cresting
life.
a wave. Such is life. That's
What did you say there just at the end?
Cresting a wave.
I like that, Len. He's cresting a wave, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
How was your week, Ruben?
My week was good, yeah, it was good. Was actually, yeah, it's grand. I was watching and I never seen it before. I know the premise. I definitely seen the English version before, but I never seen the Irish version of Gogglebox before.
Oh my God, why would you? Well, I watched the English version and I thought, I've got to see the Irish version of this program.
I know. I'm ashamed to admit that I just was like, I fucking love this program. It's like snapshots
really?
into. There was one bit with these two, like, the most proletarian mats you'd ever seen in your life, dubs, like Moore Street Bures.
Yeah.
And they're watching this thing, and what they're watching is a man over in England, and I think his wife died, and he wants to go and adopt a dog, and he's an old English geezer, and he's like, I just want the dog to like me, you know. And they set up this meeting with the dog, and there's people, and the daughter's like, oh, come on, Dad, just come over and pet him. And he's like, no, the old man, the dog has to come over to the old man. Whatever his thing is, he's like, I'm not going to force myself on the dog needs to love me. I swear to God, it was actually really sweet. And he's standing there, he won't even look at the dog because he's just like, please let the dog just come over to me. And the dog comes over to him and they have a little pet and the dog has a fucked up tail, it's like Free Willy. And then it wags its tail and they're like going, everyone's so happy. And the two women are like, oh, that is beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? They have a dog, and their dog comes bounding around from behind the couch going, shut up, will you? The two of them just go, shut up, will you? At the dog. One of them even calls the dog a jealous bitch.
Well, it might have been a bitch. That might just have been true.
Bitch is dog is nature, nature's beautiful. Thanks for the compliment.
Right,
but I just thought that was like, they're watching a program about a like sweet moment between a man and his dog, and their dog just wants to say, hey girls, and it's like, shut up, will you?
Fuck you. Yeah.
And they literally, the two of them, shut up, jealous bitch.
That's what dogs do, love watching other dogs on TV though. Do you know what I remember? Who was saying to me, their aunt, whenever they had a dog and whenever there was some what?
Sorry, go.
You're their aunt, sorry, yeah. When I was hanging around with Duran back in 1997, it was the dog called Fido. He did the drumming for most of the tracks.
He was on cocaine, I think.
He was on cocaine half the time. Yeah, he used to sing actually because whenever John Bon Jovi was over, they'd go crazy. But whenever there was an ad on the telly, whatever the ad on was at the time, the Kit Kat ad or something that had... No, it was the Kit Kat ad that had the sheep in it. And he was a former sheepdog. And whenever he heard the jingle, he'd come bounding up the stairs and sit there and watch the ad for a minute and a half, and then he'd fuck off.
As a former sheepdog, it just made him feel young again.
Yeah.
Retired
them
sheepdog.
all in a little box, yeah.
But anyway, the Gogglebox thing, yeah, I just thought that the Bjorn, like, it's just like, you can always count on the working class Irish just to deliver. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed that. Another thing, and just give me a minute here, but another thing that I noticed during the week, as part of my week, is that some newspaper in Ireland, I can't really remember, had an article about Leo Varadkar posts a picture on Instagram. Now, Leo Varadkar posted a picture on Instagram of him and his partner enjoying a lockdown candlelit dinner together. And what it said in the article was that this was for a glimpse into his private life, to show us he's just a normal human being like the rest of us. And I will have to say that I took exception to that article because he's not. He is not a normal human being just like the rest of us. That man has no career problems right now. That man has no money problems right now. He's sitting there posting the bottles of red wine to Instagram that he's drinking with his steak dinner box that he got from God knows where. Costs God knows what. Only one for the weekend mind was the thing in Oscuelga. And I'm just like going, if you're trying to, there's political capital if you ever saw it. And I just feel like, are you having a laugh? Is this actually the Hunger Games? Because when I hear the statement, just like the rest of us, I think to myself, who's the us in that statement?
Just like the rest of you is what
exactly,
they mean to say.
Glenn.
Yeah. But even the fact that they have to, anything that contains the words, that proves he's just a normal human being. It's like the fact that you have to go out of your way to say that is so weird in the first. That would make me more suspicious than anything.
And like I said, that guy's not just a normal human being. And I've spoke before about how on paper he is so diverse, but the reality of it is he's the colour of money, and that's what guides his decision. Political capital. His decisions are guided by political capital and money, effectively. And so, look, it's interesting because it sort of ties into a little bit of what we're saying now. But hold on to that thought for maybe future episodes, because for me it's important. I want to really identify the differences between like what I'm talking about. It's like that guy's not like us, and just remember that, will you? Right now,
he is. But like Fine Gael, we won't go into this maybe at the moment. But Fine Gael is they are great for brand Ireland, right? They're great for selling Ireland all around the world, but they kind of don't. I'm not saying Fianna Fáil do either. Give a fuck about anybody who actually lives in this country. And I will say this, man. When Leo Varadkar was our Taoiseach, I fucking loved when I was chatting to, American friends of mine. I'll be like, oh yeah, the Prime Minister, the guy who runs the government of Ireland is a gay man, the son of an immigrant from India or whatever, and they would blow their minds
because on paper it's mind blowing. But it's smoke and mirrors. It's like, no, he's not that stuff. Like, he is technically, but along the way, he doesn't associate with any of the ideals that usually those people would have. You know what I mean?
No,
at the end of the day, and like if you look at what Emma Kirwan says about, it's really interesting. It's a late show clip, and he gets it 100% right, Emma Kirwan. And I suggest that anyone who hasn't seen it go look at it. He's talking about when he was in Trinity College with Leo Varadkar, and the way he rose to prominence through Fine Gael was by essentially by preying on the most vulnerable members of society to villainise more vulnerable members of society. And the point Emma Kieran makes is like, where was the hotline for blue collar crime that was rife, for political crime that was rife at the time? There wasn't one. So you've created a situation under the guise of, I'm trying to help the country or be a good politician. It's not. You want to demonise, whereas actually who you should be demonising is the real criminals of our society, But anyway, another thing I wanted just to say quickly is that one thing I have noticed from watching the podcasts, and I was going to say nothing about it, but I have a friend. He has a wife. She is also my friend. And she's now shrinking violet. Let's just say that. And he was like, my missus says you should blow your nose more. You sound like a pig on your podcast. And I'm a mouth breather. All right, I'm a dirty mouth breather. And I do this. And I'm not on cocaine. I'm like a pug.
I'm on cocaine.
Yeah, this guy with his fucking
He's on
Adidas tracksuit. Like, look at his nose. I'm like a little pug with just this nose, little nose stuck on the front of this big massive head. And I have a condition, actually, Sarah. Yeah. And so I just wanted to address that situation. Even when I used to take cocaine, my lines were this long. Now, they were like a piece of white thread.
Yeah,
that's the way I used to do it.
Like a New York joint.
Just like tiny, minuscule in width, but this long. No more cocaine than you would put up your nose. But mine went up my nose and down my throat and got me high.
They went around the room. It was like sort of like a treasure hunt. You had to, where's this line going to take me? Up the stairs.
It's going to take me to Valhalla.
Into the attic, into a box of treasured memories.
But that's all. I just wanted to address that. If you have a problem with the way in which I breathe, tough luck.
On a plus note, though, if that was your only criticism of the podcast, then
he just said you sound like a pig, and I was a little bit offended, but all right.
Cute pig.
Cute little porker.
Little babe. Like babe.
So what we decided today's podcast was going to be about was effectively, I suppose, the catalyst for the podcast is the Meghan Markle, Harry Windsor interview with Oprah Winfrey. We're going to talk about the royals a little bit. That's the catalyst for it. So we're going to maybe touch a few parameters associated with that situation.
Not enough people are talking about that, we feel. I just say we're
just trying to hit the trending on YouTube. We're taking advantage. That's the baklava.
Fucking outrageous.
There you go. That baklava was given to us by a lady who works in Sahara, Middle Eastern food out there in Lidl in Greystones. Apparently, I haven't had the food yet, but apparently the food is A1, and Len will give a serious testimony.
To the desserts are phenomenal. So
there you go.
I don't know how the tabbouleh or the mezza, isn't that what they call it? That Mediterranean, Middle Eastern mezza. That kind of, it's like Middle Eastern tapas. I don't know.
I love a good bit of tabbouleh. We used to make a broccoli tabbouleh. Actually, it worked really well. Yeah, just like saying the word. Broccoli, parsley, preserved lemon, salt, pepper, pomegranate. Oh.
Wow.
Anyway, so I just wanted to start by saying that I don't believe in the royals, or I think that the institution of the British monarchy, British royal family, is a total fallacy, I suppose.
Yeah.
And one important point to make, I think, right at the start of this, is that it's all bullshit. It's all total smoke and mirrors. You're talking about the Saxe Gothberg and Gothas married to what were the Battenbergs. I mean, and like I spoke about this before, but like that's a thing. Like they were up until 1917, the Saxe Coburg and Gothas, and Prince Philip. So an interesting thing about Prince Philip is he's the exiled Prince of Greece. His mother was Princess Alice. Princess Alice, funnily enough, was born in Windsor Castle, but at the same time was niece to the Tsar of Russia. And then you take into account that the Windsors were the Saxe Coburg Gothas, and it makes it, like, I'm just there going, can you not, like, these are the people that are apparently the divine heads of church and state in England, and you're like, they're not even fucking English. And it's like, my point is more that it seems like it's just a big sort of, so this is the little thing I wrote. I think my point is it seems like a crossbred sort of incestuous inter-European melting pot of cum and money. Like it's fucking genius, really. Someone got together and just like, why don't we just set this up so we're always in control?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. But it's like that thing we were talking about last week about the system you had, that even if you were a peasant or whatever, and you didn't pick who your wife was or your husband was, you didn't pick what life you're going to have, you just did the job. If you were a man, you did the job that your father did. If you were sent off to war, you went off and you lost a limb, and that was that, and you came home and your wife just had to fucking put up with it and maybe start weaving on the side. Whatever. But it was all part of this system, and they were at the fucking top of it. And I'm wondering, right now, we can talk about how outdated that is today, but I'm wondering, is it necessary? As human beings, certainly it looks like, and do we still continue to need someone above us to kind of, you know what I mean?
It's really, yeah, I understand what you're saying 100%, and there's something really interesting. Like, let's just talk practically. One thing I find really interesting, like, my father, who's a total douchebag anyway, and we shouldn't really take anything he has to say seriously, but the fact of the matter is, I remember saying to him, like, I think, and this is the most diplomatic way I can say this, I think that the whole entire royal family should be given an option. It's like, we're going to give you a nice semi-detached house and enough money in the bank to see you through, or we're going to fucking kill you. And then we're going to, here's the things, we don't need to pay for security, because we're going to take all your wealth and repatriate it into the people who would be most likely to try and kill you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're going to do. I would have had it in a much more heavy, I would have said it, probably to antagonise him, but I would have said it to George in a much more heavy-handed way, but like, and he would be like, you've no idea, mate. You've no idea what it's, because he's English, sorry. You've no idea what it was like growing up in a monarchy. You've no idea of the culture and what the Queen does for England and the UK and Great Britain. I'm just like, oh, shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck up. Like, the idea, having a woman who iconises caste or class has no place in 21st century society. There's no place in contemporary society to have a person who is divine. And it's like, she's better than you just because of her,
by birth. Yeah.
By birth. That's out. That can no longer exist. But the funny thing about it is some of the most fervent loyalists or monarchists in the UK are fucking working class poor people, because they're associating to the idea of Great Britain. If Britain's great, then I'm great. And it's just like, no, you fucking stupid Jerry McKyle fodder. You're not great. What you are is you're being bummed by a system. The woman gets paid £82 million a year basic salary. She costs the state like upwards of £200 million. Oh, she brings you so much tourism and all. It's like she's the fucking largest private landowner on the island. I think second largest in the world or in Europe or something.
Well, man, in Europe, yeah, she was the biggest single beneficiary of the CAP program. Do you know that? So I always, the CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy,
right?
That basically meant they gave loads of subsidies to farm owners and whatever all across Europe. She was, because she's, like you say, the biggest landowner in Britain, she was the biggest sole beneficiary of that. Millions and millions of pounds. Crazy stuff,
it's crazy. You're just like, what? But she's already going to the shops in a gilded carriage.
Yeah.
And there's 1 million people in this country used the food bank last year. And you're talking about great fucking Britain.
But you're saying about getting bent over and getting bombed, right? And with Savoy sausage in this case. But like, then again, look at us, right? I mean, we threw off the yoke of the imperial oppressor even in the 1920s, officially in kind of 38 or even 40, was it 50 something we became an official republic? Anyway, De Valera turns around to Archbishop McQuaid and immediately bends over and parts cheeks and says, will you give us a good old rogering? Your holiness.
Yeah, there's something about that as well. It's like when you're oppressed people, like you said, and that was my point. It's like, do those, and like, sorry, so that, bring it back to your point. That's what I'm saying. It's like, do those working class English people who are going, and do they need someone above them? And then us as oppressed sort of ex-colonialists, do we need someone above them? Because another thing that I've noticed is that what we've done, what has actually happened in the last 100 years of this country, is we've let the cancer of conservative British politics bleed into our system. And in fact, we're just like a more fumbled, soggy biscuit version. Like, we don't have a Bullingdon Club. We don't have a Skull and Crossbones. But those fucking things exist. Like, that's another thing about the monarchy. It's just like, they're like the ultimate Skull and Crossbones. They're like the ultimate Bullingdon Club, the ultimate Piers Gaverson Dining Society. Because, like, in those dining societies, they have weird, like, sociopathic rituals of, like, burning money in front of homeless people, going in and trashing people's businesses and then just writing checks. And, like, there are people who argue that those rituals, those rites, those hazing ceremonies are designed because they know that these men are going to be the future leaders and titans of industry, that they are designed to desensitize people to the needs of ordinary working class people, to make them sociopathic by nature. And then it's just like, and then the Queen, who lives in this distorted reality, meets a member of Parliament, the head of Parliament, every week to discuss whatever. And I'm just like going, you're telling me fucking a conservative Tory-eyed piece of shit, a fucking Etonian pig fucker like Boris Johnson gets together with the Queen and they come up with legislation to benefit the working class people? No. And exactly like the point I'm making, Leo Varadkar is sitting at home with his fucking €70 steak dinner box telling us he's just like the rest of us. He's not. And when are we going to realise that and tear the construct apart? When are they going to realise... when are they going to realise that over in the UK and tear the construct apart for the better of everyone? This is where my mind boggles with the Queen. And look, we'll touch on more parts of it, but there's other interesting things, like you're saying. In fact, I'll just say it now because it ties into the point you made. You made a point there that, like, is that where we really need to be these days? But the 1200-year institution of the monarchy and how it operates itself, and we'll get into all the parameters and how you have to play the game, and if you're not part of it, you're against it, basically. But all of those sort of outdated ideals, ceremonies, protocols were enforced 70 years ago by the likes of Tommy Lascelles, Michael Adine and Winston Churchill. And these men are all, and go and have a look at who those characters are. Tommy Lascelles is actually an extraordinarily interesting character.
Oh man.
But he's a fucking imperialist, male chauvinist pig. Like, he's a swine, an imperialist swine. And we're still, the monarchy is still operating now in the 21st century, in the year 2021. The monarchy is still operating under the ideals of these draconian 1950s stiff upper lip, imperialist, racist bastards.
But isn't there the great line in The Crown where the Queen Mother says to Elizabeth, I think it's in the first second series, she says, it's something like the long journey from ruling to reigning to something else, she says, to just being like a figurehead. And that's kind of, we should talk about that sort of trajectory as well, that there was a time when King Henry VIII was sort of sowing his wild oats and waddling around.
And we'll get into King Henry VIII because there are actually, I would like to draw comparisons later on between the King Henry VIII, like that stuff, no, not Henry VIII, sorry, pardon me, I'm talking about Edward.
Oh yeah, but any of them, right? Up until kind of Victoria, I would say. No, maybe a bit before then, but actually up until Cromwell at least. Anyway, if the king, if King Henry, if we still lived under those rules, if Elizabeth wanted fucking Piers Morgan's head on her fucking desk tomorrow, she could have it, and no one would bat an eye. It's just it's the sovereign right of kings and queens. Whereas now we went, they went through Cromwell, and then Charles came back with the Restoration, and already there was the Magna Carta had to be signed, and already it was this sense of, okay, you're kind of giving power back to the people a little bit. And at this stage, man, like is what Harry said true, or Harry said in the interview true, that they're kind of almost more trapped in this 100%, thing now.
And look, and again, I'd like to touch on that later, and what I'll just say for now is I actually have a bit of I actually have a good bit of empathy and understanding and appreciation for Harry. I actually like Harry, and we'll talk about it more maybe. But we're gonna get into that. Yeah. I think it's 100%. So
how much power do they really have? Like in other
well, here's the thing. Sorry, you're right, and that's just you just made that point on it. There are other monarchies and richer monarchies around the world. I'm pretty sure that the richest monarchy on the planet is the King of Thailand. And I don't know, when I went to Thailand 15 years ago, you couldn't say anything about the king. Yeah. Like, literally, you couldn't say anything about the king. They all had pictures of him in the bars, and you go, what's the fucking story, man? They're like, he's great. Like, and that was the thing. He's great.
What's the fucking story with your man?
Who's your man up there with the gold jacket?
With the long face. What's he looking for? Get him a drink. Yeah.
But, so a lot of all the other monarchies, and so again, I don't know what the story is in Thailand because it used to be more, but I read a thing that said definitely in Europe, of the European market, like there are still princes and Scandinavian kings and queens and princes and stuff like this.
You'd be surprised the number of countries
there's
that
loads
still
of them.
Holland
because the reason you'd be surprised is because they don't do anything. They have no power.
Yeah.
They don't meet with the head of parliament or whoever, the head of the government.
Yeah.
That's the one thing where I'm just like going, oh my, it just actually makes me sick. I said it already. Like I said, who the fuck are these two cunts, Boris Johnson and the Queen, to be making any sort of relative productive policy for human beings? And the Queen just wants to have a cup of tea, right? And it's just like, but like, they're all fucking whatever. And they're all just sitting there, oh no, we're just having cups of tea.
Yeah.
So, you're a psychopath, sociopath.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that then. The Queen's meeting with the Prime Minister. I mean, how much, like the Crown aside or whatever, like how much?
But before the Crown, I had read this thing about because David Cameron was going to meet the Queen all the time. I was like, why the fuck is David Cameron and the Queen getting together to discuss fucking internet or national policy?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But she can't. It's not like
it's not like
she go like, oh, you've that vote coming up, don't you? Yeah, get rid of that.
She can't do that. But she can also go, what's the story with this vote? And
what's the fucking crack with the minimum wage?
But these brown people, they seem to be flooding into our country all the time during the job.
She could. Now, I don't think Elizabeth.
Will we treat them like shit?
Yeah.
One thing that's funny, one thing we never talked about in Division was the Brexit thing, which was mental. But anyway, listen, so we're going to have, I was thinking first of all, we'd have a talk about the Piers Morgan thing, if that was all right with you.
Yeah, that's a bit of crack. Yeah.
So obviously, there's been, Oprah Winfrey has done an interview with Meghan Markle and Harry, and we'll talk about that now very shortly, but we just quickly talk about, it was discussed, the parameters or the stuff that was said in the interview was then discussed on Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan and a couple of other heads, and chaos ensued, I suppose. But like, one of the first thing, and this is where I just am like going, this is where the surrealness of it, I just think it's so ridiculous. Like, Piers Morgan says, she's making the whole world think the monarchy is racist. And I'm just like going, like, exactly, that's the reaction.
What is it if not racist? Yeah.
Like, for fucking sake. And like, is the Queen a racist? Is she a National Front fucking lunatic? Probably not. Is she even racist? I don't know, is the honest answer. Is she the personification of imperialism, British rule? Does she iconize knocking the shit out of brown people and stealing their wealth? Yeah. Like, that's what it is.
And then setting up the Commonwealth afterwards as if to be like, no, wasn't that nice? Wasn't that lovely? Don't we all love getting together to talk about how wonderful it was that we took over your country X number of
Prince
years
Philip
ago?
Is an
and then
actual
gave
racist.
It back to you, weren't we that nice? We gave it back to you.
And you know the thing about it is, like, and I say this all the time, if you want to look at, go around the world and look at serious social or socio-economic problems around the world, you trace those fucking problems back, you will always, and I'm almost confident in saying this, or a lot of time, you will make your way back to the Brits. It was British imperialism is at the crux of these problems. The Middle East, Africa, the Caribbean. There's an amazing film called Life and Death, and it's about what happens to Jamaica when it regained its independence in the 70s, I think, from England. And
the 70s, really?
Yeah, I think so. No, maybe I'm totally wrong.
You could be right. You could be dead right, man.
But anyway, and the IMF then, because like these are like, it's just like, oh, you want to be a republic? Is it? Well, fuck off, so. And that's it. We've already taken everything from you.
Yeah.
So now you're just a poor husk of a nation with like hopes, aspirations, ideals. And who swoops in? The IMF, and cripples your country, you know what I mean, in this sort of neo-imperialist way.
What did the Romans do for us, Reuben? Oh, God. What did the Romans do for us? Oh, yeah, we built the roads, didn't we, though? We built the schools, Reuben, didn't we? You all speak the Queen's English now.
Yeah, exactly.
We gave you the pound.
Rotten imperialist bastards.
Marmite. It's like, how about I knock into your gaff tomorrow, murder you, right?
Rape your wife.
Enslave your children, and then knock up a conservatory. Huh? Fix the leak in the sink. That'll make everything all right, will it? Fuck off, mate. Do one.
Like, it's just, the idea that, and Piers Morgan said, do you really think, like, it's just like, because he's saying, I'm just like, they're fucking, the whole thing iconizes racism, class and caste. It is no, like, what the fuck are we even having this conversation for? And yes, if you think for a minute that Palace are going to tolerate a mixed race HRH prince, forget it. That's never happening. And it's just like, don't fucking even entertain a conversation about that, Piers. You know, I have to say this much, right? Is that... Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, because, I mean, like, we're talking... Like, they killed Diana because she was going to have an Arab baby. They were just like, not happening, love. She was fucking well out of it. You think we're going to let a mixed-race black baby in the royal family? Like, even it's just like going... It's so ridiculous they actually make TV programs about, or whatever. Like, it's just...
I mean, appalling and in no way surprising.
I'm not... This is my point. It's like, I'm not saying, so therefore it's all right. Far from it. I'm saying, yes, this is... Now, unavoidably, equivocally, you know this, so tear it the fuck apart.
Yeah.
Don't stand for it.
But listen, this is, for me, this is the thing, and she actually says this, Megan, quite a lot, is the fact that they failed to protect her was the main... It wasn't something... She actually describes, apart from there was things like that conversation, which would be fucked up no matter what the circumstances, but maybe that could be like a kind of semi-sick, amusing anecdote you tell 20 years down the road.
I know, but
she said they were all very welcoming. It was the fact that when the media came for her, and the media started bullying, and the media started tearing her apart, they didn't protect her. And I think part of the reason they didn't protect her is because they kind of go, look, the media basically are the ones who set the agenda here.
No, but that's the exact
We're basically like WWF, the fucking ER, the royal, you know, the royal institution, the royal family is more like WWF. If you're going out there and the fucking media are booing you, the crowd are booing you, there's nothing where we can't write a better script for you. You're
the heel.
You're the heel. They dictated. And she came in. I'm not saying they brought her in because that would be to deny that Harry and her have a real relationship. She came in and they welcomed her, thinking this would be a great step forward, a modern, turn for the royal family in the 21st century. But she happened to come in at a time when Britain is going through politically one of its many, many bullshit, or that kind of underlying fucking imperialist bullshit.
Divisive, racist fucking shit that they always seem to...
Oi, Savaloy.
Yeah, Great Britain is Great Britain. You know what makes it great? The fucking, like, the people you oppressed who came over and fucking sorted you out, did the shit you wouldn't do. Like, your country being the shits if it wasn't for the fact that Pakistanis, Indians, Caribbean heads came in their droves, and they all are still there doing the fucking jobs you won't do.
Yes.
And, like, taking the shit that you won't take. Yeah. And actually... fuck off.
But it was them. I mean, man, look, you watch that interview and the fucking articles. I had to keep pausing.
I know, and look, we'll go. Yeah, no, I know.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous. And I again, like I said, I wanted just to fly through these Piers things and then get into the Oprah thing because I got hella notes for the Oprah thing. Yeah. But like, it's just, and again, like he's like going, who had this conversation about the dark skin tone? And so it's like 100%. I can imagine someone going, what about the colour of the baby's skin? And he's sort of saying this thing, do you not think if someone asks it innocently enough, it's like going, if I have a fucking, that's never innocent to be like, all right mate, what colour's the baby going to be? It's just like, it's going to be a baby. It's going to be a brand new baby. Beautiful. Yeah. And it's just like, and then he's just like, because that means if it's Prince Charles or Prince William, then we have a racist king. And we can't have a racist king. No, you don't want a racist king. You don't want to, because you want to sign off on the king, but you don't want to sign off on racism or whatever it is. And you're probably a racist anyway, Piers Morgan, but you just won't say it on national television because it'd be the end of you. But the reality of it is, like, you don't want him to be racist. Like, I could... And in fact, I'll ask the question later about that.
Well, sorry, just on that, think about him as an entity, though. Is he? I mean, we're fucking sitting here talking about the cunt, aren't we?
Yeah, but here's the thing. But the thing about Piers Morgan is I've seen Piers Morgan get it right a few times.
Yeah.
I have. And I can't think of them, and if I think about them, we'll put them up. I've seen him get it right a few times.
And you know what he said in reaction is that he said, I'm going to take some time off to be alone with my opinions. And I thought, okay, that's kind of funny. That's kind of the hand to you weird bastard.
You mentaler. But it's like, and he makes a point, he does make this little point where I just... excuse me. Like I said, sometimes I think he got it right, but he does say, like, because he says he says stuff on Twitter or whatever it is, and people are like, just leave them alone. And he's sort of saying, and what he says is they don't want to be left alone. And we'll get into this with the Oprah thing a little bit, but I just wanted to say that because we're talking about the Pearson, I sort of agree with him a little bit on that.
On which? On the...
That they don't want to be left alone.
Who now? Sorry.
Meghan and Harry.
That they don't want to be...
But because, like, it's just like, if you want to get... Look, he's over there going...
But man...
I'm not saying that...
You're not just setting the record straight. Is that not kind of...
What do you mean?
Well, just clearing it up, all these questions, why they left and all that.
Sorry, say again?
They're not just setting the record straight, why they left.
They're setting the record straight... Yeah, okay, so look, and again, I'm just saying that he said that, and initially, so yeah, you might be right, and we'll just say...
Well, look, I'd say this as well. With any public figure, it's difficult. There is always going to be that little element of... But are they just doing... There's that blurred line of are they just doing this to further their own image or whatever. But then it's impossible. It's not like if they didn't want any attention, they could not have any attention. Do you know what I mean? It's not if they came and went, hey, could the media please leave us alone? The media would go, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I didn't realise we were bothering you. It's like I love when you see people with no junk mail signs on their letterboxes, as if the guys hanging around the leaflets go, oh, I'm sorry. You didn't want my free menu from the local takeaway? Yeah, exactly. There's two. Let me get rid of these fucking things.
Yeah, I understand. I just, and again, so I'll explain that maybe a bit better in a few sentences' time. So, one thing that we definitely have to talk, because obviously then Piers Morgan storms off set, and that's where I'm like, you're a dick, Piers, because even if I thought you got it right a couple of times before, that you can't take it, that you can't listen to it.
No, but dude,
I have no time for that shit, because I give it. And so if I'm going to give it, I'm going to have to fucking take it as well. And same for that.
But I think he knew as well there were something like 41,000 complaints into ITV from what he'd said the day before, particularly about the colour of the baby question.
I didn't see the day before what he'd said. Or
I only watched it this morning.
I'm not defending Piers Morgan. I just thought it was
No.
interesting.
Look, man, you have to be.
And I'll explain more about what I meant. Sorry, but
Nothing's
keep going.
black or white, so to speak. But it was more the fact that he outright didn't believe her about like her claims of suicidal thoughts or whatever. Yeah. So there are 41,000 complaints into Ofcom. His either agent or probably him himself, because he's a cute whore, as they say, is going, look, man, it's the hop or the chop here. You can either dive off or you're gonna get fucked by the looks of it.
Before you get pushed.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why he manufactures this. When your man starts having a go at him, he's probably like, oh yeah, perfect, I'm going to walk. This is the time I'm going to bounce off.
Yeah, very valid. I think you're right, actually, Len. There must be something in that where it's just like going, just hit the self-destruct button now, because actually it's going to be the best thing for you in 6 months' time.
Yeah, exactly. Look, his Twitter thing is still like he's one of these peons of outrage, like fucking Katie Hopkins, like all these cunts.
He is a bit, like, and that's what
Mr. Potato Head doesn't have a penis anymore. Do you know
what you should say? Mr. Potato Head's not Mr. Potato Head.
No,
anymore.
exactly. It's just there's no Mrs. Potato Head. It's just Potato Head.
It's no Mrs. either.
No, exactly. Imagine your kid now would be playing with a potato head with no penis. There'd be no penis on the potato head.
I understand where you're coming from, but I also understand, like, no, I won't even bother. I also think, like, I don't know.
I don't think people feel as strongly about it as people are being made out as if they feel.
No, I don't think I feel as strongly about it. But again, it's just like another one of those things from my childhood that I can't play with or watch or say.
I don't think you can't say it. I think that's totally exaggerated. I don't
know. I'm just saying, like, do you know? And this might be really. Do you know you can't watch the Michael Jackson episode of The Simpsons anymore?
Now wait, is the one he stars in?
Yeah.
Is in they've what now? They've
it's
taken
gone.
it.
It's not on Disney Plus.
Really? Okay, you can't find it or anything.
No, it's gone. It doesn't exist. It's episode 1 of series 2, and it's not there anymore.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
They have every other episode except that episode.
I think there might be. They come for the other ones, and that's my thing.
Yeah.
That's my thing. It's like
the censoring.
It's the censoring, and it's like I'm just like because. Yeah, I mean, it's not educating, and I have to say that the Michael Jackson episode of The Simpsons is probably one of my favourite ever episodes.
I feel like the cancelling thing, man, though, I think a lot of these, and I want to get sidetracked here either, but I think a lot of these companies are kind of kowtowing to what they see as an overwhelming tide of online anger and outrage, which I don't
might affect their bank.
Exactly.
We said,
as we were saying, it is the financial financial end of it. But like I was saying, like you look at the difference between a movement that's just this kind of tidal wave of people online, like you say, signing some online petition in your underwear on your couch with Brooklyn Nine-Nine on the TV, just going, yeah, I'll sign that. Whereas, but even then, that's actual complaints. That's people actually ringing up ITV
but it's not. It's
whatever.
Different because Ofcom's always been there as well.
There's a difference between sending out a hashtag. I
actually think. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the next step, because you're not just going sharing something or or whatever, saying something online. You go
to be seen to be doing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the actual, like, I'm gonna do what you actually do when you have a problem and ring the
Simpsons to cancel Michael Jackson episode.
Do you think they called them though, or do you know exactly? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
Sky,
the point is
the
that,
Disney
like,
Channel.
It's like, this is the way you've been dealing with if people have had a problem with television issues for years. They ring, they pick up the phone. Like, they're doing an actual thing. They ring another person, report a problem. But you're not. There's no. There's no body. You're not actually reporting to a body that's set up to deal with these issues. It's just spouting out into nothing. And you're not actually you're not actually picking up the phone, dialing. Oh yeah, I understand. I do understand where you're
That's a conversation between you and the complaints department. No one else. And
I've had a conversation with a complaints department. That's more the thing. It's like that. Like, if I have to get up and go down there and walk down there and lodge the complaint formally,
that's even better. Yeah,
it's even better. But you're actually doing something.
Yeah, rather than just retweeting so that anyone who follows you can see that I care about this. It's that thing. It's the unseen thing. It's
I'm in
like
agreement.
it's like you look at the difference between any of these online things, and I don't mind. You have to make a distinction between a movement that is only exists online and a movement that uses social media to facilitate its organization, like Black Lives Matter or like the Free Britney thing. Look at the Free Britney thing. That's actually fucking people showing up on the street to protest something. That's what fucking counts.
That's what counts.
If you're able to fucking do it in your underwear, just on your social media,
it's nothing. It's nothing. And it just fills you with this idea, I'm making a difference. No, you're not. You want to make a difference, you get the fuck up and you go and make a difference. Yeah, you get up off the couch and you pick up the phone, you call someone, you have a conversation about your problem. And this person you're having a conversation with the problem is meant to be the body that can actually fucking do something about it. Not just like, I'm great, I care about people.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the last points to make about the Piers Morgan thing, and this is where you're fucked, Piers, is there is an interview of Piers on the late... because first of all, the guy's like going, you've got a problem with Meghan Markle. We've discussed this before. You don't like her. He's just like, I just found her to be very cut and dry. And you're sort of going... So it turns out that Piers Morgan, and this is the beauty of it because he had this interview however long ago, and they've just dug it up and put it out there. Piers Morgan went on what he perceived to be a date with Meghan Markle, and she basically snubbed him because the day of the date, he put her in a taxi with a few dirty martinis, a few pints. It was great fun. It was brilliant. I really thought we had a great connection. I was really, and he even makes the joke of like, I felt really bad. It's not a joke. That's why you don't like her, mate, because you didn't get to fuck her. Your stupid dickhead male ego has totally clouded your perspective on the situation, and you have allowed yourself to, based on this, to go down that path.
He did it on, I have to get the eyes just right and tiny. He did it on Irish television. Never thought it would bloody resurface again.
I thought they would have sold it for potatoes. So, then, let's get into the Oprah Winfrey interview. So, I'm going to say something really controversial right at the very start. All right?
Incoming.
Do it. Piers Morgan, whatever, I'm not even for a minute going to question, and we'll get into it, how awful the situation, whatever, the level of sort of shit. Hostility. All of this stuff, and like we'll talk about the articles in a few minutes because some of them are fucking, I couldn't actually believe that they were published in papers. Okay. Some of the stuff that was said, I couldn't actually believe it. But one thing, and this is like
British tabloid media.
Well, one thing that I just found that I would have to sort of say something smells a bit about that, Meghan, is her naivety. I was like, how could you be that naive as to what you were getting into? I don't believe that.
Now, into which part of it? Into
You're marrying Prince fucking Harry.
Yeah.
You're marrying Prince Harry, the son of fucking Diana and Prince Charles.
I don't think she failed to appreciate the enormity, or that she would be written about constantly. She expected,
how could you not? We see it all the time. History has shown us that. That's what the manner. Like, look at. Like, would Harry not have come along and said, we need to have a fucking conversation about this? You need to realise. I just don't believe even that he wouldn't sit her down for that conversation, given the life that he has lived.
Oh, no, man, I fully think...
Like, she says, what do we know about royals? What we learn from fairy tales, and I'm sorry, but that's a bullshit statement.
No.
That's a bullshit statement.
That's true. Well, the thing she couldn't say was, I mean, I'm not couldn't, but you just sort of wouldn't say is, I thought I was gonna get lovely write-ups in the fucking, she, like, Harry was probably showing her articles of Kate Upton, and it's like, oh, look, the tabloids just, Middleton. Upton, Jesus, I said Kate Upton.
Kate Upton?
She's a model or something.
Okay, right. Yeah, I know, but I mean...
Yeah, she was in
But
William
at the same
really
time...
But in other words, look at these articles of Kate Middleton. The tabloids fawn over her. They set up this sort of narrative. But she's not an
outsider. And I know that. I'm not saying... Like, she's a WASP. Look at her. She's a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Yeah. She fits the fucking mould.
True.
And, like, we spoke before about... Like, the only reason Queen Elizabeth II is the fucking queen is because her uncle abdicated. And he abdicated because he wanted to marry
A divorcee.
A divorced American socialite.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have it. Like, it's actually pretty mirrored. And like, she's not, I'm not saying Megan's a socialite, but she's a divorcee American actress. You throw in mixed race into the equation, you're trying to tell me you didn't see this coming down the tracks. And so I'm not trying to go, so therefore, fuck you. I'm just saying, I think that it's so obvious that you couldn't be that naive. I think that it's so obvious that you don't learn everything you know about the royals from fairy tales. The royals are not princes and princesses.
Yeah.
The royals are a fucking real institution.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? I'm just interested to know.
No, I'm just saying because the avocado thing, like how she would have seen how they're writing about her.
I'm not. That's the. But that's.
But no, I'm sure. Like I'm
thinking because we've seen what they. Okay, because here's my point as well, and he also sort of says it a little bit. Harry says something about an invisible rule between the tabloids and the monarchies.
Invisible contract. Man.
Invisible contract.
Interesting thing.
It was really interesting. Yeah. And one thing I will say is that we have never before seen an immediate member of the royal family talk so candidly about protocol and etc. etc.
And about his family members being trapped inside this fucking thing. Yeah.
And so, but.
For me, man, sorry, just the naivety thing, I fully think they had that conversation because the one thing she says she was naive about. Now, like, I think the whole idea of...
His mum was killed as a result of this shit.
Yeah, right.
How would he not have this conversation?
But that they
said... And I know he says, I was worried about history repeating it. How could they not, all I'm saying is, how could they not have at the embryonic stage of their relationship, when they knew where things were going, this is getting serious, whatever, how could he... having lived his perspective, his truth, not have gone, we need to have a conversation about this.
I'm sure they did, man. I bet you they did.
For 1 minute, I'm not justifying any of what we're talking about. No, I'm just questioning that level of naivety because I just think it doesn't look that transparent to me. And for me, the more transparent they can be, the better it's going to stand. Because there's so much mudslinging and shit. Just be honest, because no one can fucking fuck with that.
Yeah, this was probably destined to happen then, whoever he was with. So
well, if he'd have married a Kate Middleton, if he'd have married a fucking St. Thracian's,
a Diana.
I'm telling no, but even Diana was not. Diana was against the grain, and she wouldn't play the game with them, and that's why they fucking tore her apart.
Well, look, there's another. I mean, in arguably, or certainly the way the Crown makes it seem, is that she kind of became. She became too hot a property almost. She became,
okay, well,
she was attracting too much attention.
The Australia thing definitely. That's a real thing there. That's a real thing they talk about in the Crown. But that's when she bedazzled that it was like a jealousy almost. But here's a weird thing that I've noticed because the invisible contract.
Yeah, and let's be clear, it's the fucking tabloids who are
because they know.
They own
and they talk
that
about this
contract.
sort of stuff in the Crown. It's just like, it's all a facade. And as soon as you get a hole through it, it falls apart. And if the tabloids turn on the monarchy and manage to turn the public against them, they're gone.
Oh my God.
They're gone.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's the reality of it. You're gone. And that's what you're most afraid of. And I just find it interesting in this invisible contract. Is there also an unwritten rule that says, we're going to feed them the outsiders? We'll give you a chance, we'll welcome you in, but as soon as we identify you as an outsider, as soon as we identify you as something that is potentially disruptive or threatening to the institution, we feed you to the press.
See,
Diana,
that's a really
fed her to the
question.
press
That's a really
because she wants to talk about, because she's not
landmines in South Africa.
But even like her own, like what she goes through, she's not just like she doesn't do the stiff upper lip, just carry on thing.
No, and it was that interview, wasn't it? I can't remember the details, but there's that famous interview
one, is it
where she says there was 3 of us in this marriage, and she talks about that.
That's not allowed in the royal
Absolutely
family.
Not.
They won't have that.
Not. Yeah.
That goes against the divinity of church and state, the fucking chosen ones, all this bullshit. Yeah. Because the more you look like normal people, the more the illusion is spoiled. And the whole house of cards will actually come tumbling down. Yeah. And I can't help but feel it's just like Prince Andrew's a fucking paedophile, we think. No, he is. Fuck it, we think. Liability. Fuck you. We're too small to get cancelled. He's a fucking paedophile, right? He fucking nearly bungled it on an interview
Yeah.
a few years ago. Hangs around with Jeffrey Epstein, been on the plane, Mar-a-Lago, all that shit. And we don't know anything about that. That is suppressed. And it's almost like, you can have Diana. You know, fuck this bitch Fergie. She fucked someone else, you can have her. And they'll let Fergie back in when she puts the tail between the legs, she can come back. And now, Meghan, she's gone, man. This bitch has to go. She's talking about fucking therapy and, like, she's gonna, you know, mix. I just, like,
Yeah.
it's not
Man,
happening.
That world is so fucking serious. That's a really good point, though. What's the press's agenda? And for me,
Selling papers.
selling fucking
Money.
papers, making content. So they
Money is neo-imperialism.
yeah.
That's what it is, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and every fucking shitty decision that fucks you and fucks me and fucks normal people makes money for someone else.
Yeah, it's like they treat the royals like a soap opera that everyone's watching, and they decide what the fucking script is. Do you know what
And
I mean?
it is a total, yeah, like I said, it's just that they know that if the fucking facade is broken, they're out. Yeah. And, like, I mean, this is the whole thing. It's just like, and the Crown makes you feel it a bit, but then I just go, oh, fuck them pricks. It's just like, you know, we're just saying everything's so. It's just like you live in this distorted reality where you fucking have people wipe your bums and you have a lad standing there with an ashtray for your cigarettes. Fucking Prince Charles gets 10 eggs made for him or something like this in the morning.
Okay,
just so he can go.
crazy.
I think, do you not hear this?
No.
That he used to have 10 boiled eggs, all set a minute apart, just so he, you know, could get the most perfect one.
Really?
Just open them all up and I'll decide which one is the perfect amount of goo for me. You know? He said, no, hold on. What are you laughing at? Isn't this what normal people do? You fucking asshole. No, people can barely afford eggs. You know what I mean?
But he doesn't get to fucking go see a movie and
Oh.
smoke a joint.
He can fucking smoke whatever he wants, man. They
Let me
fucking
ask you
snort
this:
cocaine.
would you like his life?
No. Not
Let's
in a
say there
million
was
years.
a there you go, man. In a way, would you know?
Because
let's say
I
there
would
was
have
an Irish
not
monarchy.
because I would to be that dumb and that narrow-minded and that fucking intrinsically bigoted and imperialist.
Yeah.
I'd rather fucking kill myself than be that.
Yeah.
You can fucking not for diamonds, man. You can take all the money. I've got integrity. I've got a fucking soul. What did you say? I thought it was really funny. No room for frivolities. And actually, funny enough, Harry has a bit of that going as well.
I was dying to hear his accent, man.
It's a surprisingly deep voice.
Yes, when they're born in the roof and they box their fucking jaw if you wire it back together.
And like, I think you said this already. This was and this could have actually saved the longevity. I think in the long run, this could have been, this could have bolstered or solidified the royal family's longevity is if they had have taken the Meghan Markle situation as a real opportunity to rewrite the rule book. Because as I said, Tommy Lascelles and Winston Churchill and Michael Adine, they wrote the rule book that we're working off now, and those guys are fucking dinosaurs. Yeah. They were dinosaurs in the 50s.
Yeah, they're extinct dinosaurs now. Boys, I don't think the royals, and I don't think that's what came across in the interview, I don't think they write the rules.
No.
I think the tabloids set the agenda and they write the rules. And the thing Meghan was saying that she was naive about was thinking that the family could protect her.
Yeah, okay. I agree with. I can somehow get on board with that. And I don't that I'm saying, no, she's full of shit or anything like that. There's just the naivety thing. I was like, fuck, I mean, really? Did you not see what they did before to Diana?
I think you could totally see it, but still, what are you going to do? Not get with the guy who you kind of love? And
yeah, because, I mean, love is a fucking bullshit construct anyway.
Okay.
It is. I love this as my chosen one, my soulmate.
Yeah.
Fuck off. It's not.
And look,
it doesn't exist.
there's another thing you're never allowed to admit on these things, but like, yeah, fucking, she was probably excited to be like, oh my God, I'm going to be a royal. Think how amazing this is going to be.
Right.
I'm never going to have to worry about this, that, and the other. Like, of course, like, it's not fucking the end where it's like the likes of Piers Morgan have you believe, like, yeah, that's all she cares about. It's like, well, it's fine for her to care about that a little. That's not natural.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Yeah. Anyway.
Now, what I will say about the Oprah Winfrey, because it is fine to feel like that. You're right, Len. But what I will also say is that she's again, and I talk about this with the Sia thing, I talked about this with the Free Britney thing, and I'm going to talk, because everyone's getting it today, I'm afraid. Everyone's getting it today. A little bit. You're looking at me like you're not impressed.
No one's safe.
Everyone's getting it a little bit today. Because at the same time, we don't actually live in this house. I live up the road and she lives down the road, and I just started going, so this isn't your multi-million-dollar mansion that you're doing the interview in. You live in a different multi-million-dollar mansion up the road, do you? And she lives in another multi-million-dollar mansion down the road. And these are meeting in the middle because your friend, the multi-millionaire, has a lovely pergola and it'll look. And I'm just sort of going, fuck off, the lot of yous as well. Yeah. Like, you know, I think Oprah Winfrey's a cunt, probably.
I think she's amazingly tolerable for everything that she could be so much.
I guarantee you she's a racist. I guarantee you Oprah Winfrey uses the N-word to describe a certain group of black people in America.
Really,
like,
man?
They're
Bill Crosby.
What?
Bill Crosby.
Bill Cosby used to do that, did he?
Yeah, Cosby, sorry,
There's just, I guarantee you there's an element of her that doesn't like a certain group of black people. And like even to the point where like they're just ends.
I think she's I think she's
her.
Very media savvy.
Look at her. Look at the clothes she's wearing. Look at her glasses. How much did those fucking glasses cost? It just all looks so like, you know, people are dying in Syria and Libya and whatever. The Congo, they're chopping people up still.
It's true. I don't know if but I don't think every human being has to wear that all the time.
No, they don't have to wear that all the time. But part of me, I suppose, and I said it with the Sia thing, and I said it with the Britney thing, and I'll say it again against Meghan Markle. It's just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Be grateful a little bit as well. Man, that you're sitting in your multi-million-dollar mansion.
Because you said we should check this
Money
thing
doesn't
out.
buy
Let's
you
have a
happiness.
chat about this.
Tell that to poor motherfuckers. You give every poor motherfucker on the planet enough money to live forever, they're happy out.
And their problems don't matter anymore.
To live forever.
No, but like,
no,
it's
look,
not
look,
like, look,
now
listen,
look, man,
look, and I don't, again, I'm a Gemini, cusp Gemini, so I have two narratives always operating inside my brain. I'm paranoid schizophrenic. But there's just this part of me that, like, when I start to empathise too much with Britney Spears, and when I start to empathise too much with Joan Sia, when I start to empathise too much with Meghan Markle, I'm just like, yeah, but these fucking cunts live in a distorted, fucking, like, gross Hollywood reality as well. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just my point. And it's not.
Look, I mean, we're talking about this because it's, you know, it's so in the public
and again, I'm just putting out those couple of things that I could argue against Meghan Markle, because there's loads of stuff that I could argue in for. And let's talk about some of that, like the press thing. And this has come up a couple of times, and I've sort of pushed it down the road. Like you said, Len, I was also at times pausing it to go, what the fuck did they say? And like some of them, it's just like the monkey face and all these things. You're like going, and like the thing of the tricky little clever thing that these newspapers do is they quote other people. We didn't say it. That person said it. Yeah, but you put in quotation marks and you stuck it on the front page, and all people can actually see at a glance is Meghan Markle monkey face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or like,
and like, actually, some of the, like I said, and we obviously know what the British tabloid media is like. I was shocked. Still, I was like going, they fucking put that in the paper?
And you know what?
And look, Rob, maybe during the editing, you could pull up a few of them, like the way they have in that movie, and just, so people can read for themselves. Shocking stuff, and fairness.
But people, man, they wouldn't, if they didn't generate ad revenue, if it didn't sell copies, people...
Yeah, so we're consuming it.
They lap that shit up. It's like that saying you were saying, it's the Britney thing. People are opening, I mean, they're not really opening, they're doing this now, they're scrolling now, but they're going, oh my God, let me click into that. Oh, that is so terrible. Who's even, what are they even writing these articles? Who's even taking these pictures? Because you're fucking looking at it is why, man. Because we have
You've just fed it. As soon as you clicked into it, they just won.
Yeah.
And you promote, and they'll have another one tomorrow for you.
All the power is in their fucking hands, man. It is sick.
It is sick, but I mean, look, we are talking about tabloid media, and again, in a podcast that might be coming up next week or the week after, I will be talking about, there is also the other media, like non-tabloid media, broadsheet, like as if the highbrow version is also the
Do you think the internet has just pulled the rug out from under these?
I think again, money and career has pulled the rug out. There are whoever the guys, and I forget their name, like Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Who, you know, what's the Watergate thing?
Bob Woodward and Woodstein. No, they called him Woodstein. Woodward and Bernstein. Yeah.
Woodward and Bernstein. I just feel like that those guys who actually felt like they had a journalistic oath to report the truth, because that was what got them into it in the fucking first place. Yeah. Was some sort of like altruistic level of integrity. Those people are gone.
And
how much am I getting paid? What do you need?
Like, you know, if we publish this, the White House is going to come down on us. The FBI going to take it to the press. We publish at midnight. Whatever, they would just do this shit.
That's never happening ever again.
But in a way, man.
Or no, it will, but it won't be. It'll be through the likes of independence, of all gas, no brakes, say in the States, or like it won't be them. It's because there's too much money involved.
Yeah,
they're making too much money from this. Like, why don't you just you know this thing you're making loads of money off of? Why don't we just totally tear it apart and rebuild the construct? No, we're making lots of money.
But in a way, I think the clickbait thing, now it was probably career in that way anyway, but the clickbait thing has intensified that so badly.
Well, like, yeah, because well, like do they? Because apparently news media, the money has fallen. Totally out.
They have to, because they have to compete with free fucking. It's like, well, why would I go through the paywall for?
But
I mean,
at the same time, I'd like to know how much the editor of the Irish Times actually gets paid, and you know, whatever. And we will talk about it more in depth. But I've noticed that broadsheet papers, and maybe they've had to do this to compete with what we're talking about. But I don't really believe that either. Or I mean, at the same time, you know, your business is integrity. Your business is journalism. And if you can't achieve that, you've no right to be in business.
You're not a journalist.
And don't fucking then just feed me bullshit. Like, have some integrity.
As a journalist, man, I think your job is simple. It's, you know, I mean, it's simple in principle anyway. Print the truth. That's the fucking truth.
Not
if you fuck around with that, if you misdirect people, you misguide people, or you print things that you think you can get away with, you're not a fucking journalist.
No, you're not. And Denzel Washington does this thing, says it on a red carpet interview, I think, where he's just there going, you don't want to be right anymore. You want to be first.
You want to be first.
You don't care what the person you're saying the stuff, like what you might do to the person you're saying the stuff about. You don't care about it. No other question is ever asked. It's like, what did you hear? Who else said it? No one yet. Print it now. Print it now.
Man, it's like a speech from one of his movies. He's almost got the glass on in the newspaper. Nah, see, you want to be first.
Yeah, that's it.
It's so funny. Nah, you don't care about being right. It's so like, did somebody write that for him? It's so fucking good.
That is really good. That is really good. I love that, and I'll never forget. I only saw it once, and it just stuck in my head. You don't want to be right, you want to be first. And that's where it's at, because first equals money equals career. Yeah. So what we did talk about, and like, here's the stuff that I just find. This was the stuff that was really like, oh yeah, it's blatant, isn't it? It's fragrant. Where they were just like, and again, this supports what I'm saying. Because here's another thing, I don't understand the timeline 100%. Was there outrage from the offset about Meghan Markle?
Yeah, I think there was a.
It wasn't just when they withdrew from working as senior members of the royal
family.
was
because there was another lead up to that,
yeah, because there was just a couple of bits where I was getting confused about the timeline. So yeah,
I think
because she was pregnant when the stuff we're talking about was being printed and all this. Of course, yeah.
It was like
from day one.
I think the wedding happened and that was still okay, and then either 3 or 6 months after the wedding happened, it was that that story about her making Kate Middleton cry.
But you know what? And again, this is the cynical, like fucking. Like coming in hot dickhead part of me is going, are we really sitting around in their fucking multi-million-dollar mansions arguing over who made who cry? And I understand it goes further than that, because then it becomes, but just that little one, that one of them, I was just like going, who fucking cares who cried? Who cares if Kate Middleton
But dude,
cried?
man, if you could ring them up and it goes, oh, we've actually got a call from Ruben Pouch in Bray, Ruben. And you're like, yeah, sorry guys. Like, who the fuck gives a shit? They're going to be looking out the windows at the fucking thousands of reporters, probably not thousands, at the gates, ready to snap the shit out of them as soon as they go out and go, well, sorry, Ruben, it looks like somebody fucking cares.
Do you believe? Yes.
It's not up to us. It's not up to them. Do you know what I mean? You kind of can't blame. You can't blame that.
I know, but I understand that. But like a part of me is just like going, like I just feel that if I was in that situation and it was like going, oh, such and such made such and such, I'd be like, I would just not give it a second thought. But maybe I'm totally wrong about that because this is more where I'm from, and that's again I'm coming from a place of. Well, for women, I have white privilege so far as Meghan Markle is concerned, and so I'm not really coming from her place, so I can't really make.
No, there's so many leaps there or whatever.
Exactly, there's too many leaps.
There's one thing she talks about, and it made me think of in The Crown, Diana. You know that episode where she's basically trapped, Charles off gallivanting, and she's basically trapped in the palace with nothing to fucking do, and she's just like eating things and throwing them up and stuff.
Yes.
And because Megan at one point
says the same sort of thing.
She's like I wanted to go to a mental health facility, but what am I going to do? Call an Uber to the palace? And I was like, yeah, imagine being trapped in this enormous cold fucking building where the only contact you have is ringing a little bell. And some fucking prick with a vented suit comes through. Yes, the Duchess is macaroon. And like, fucking, I don't want a macaroon.
Eggs, is it?
Yeah. Oh, is there something wrong with the 9th egg, Miss Duchess? So I'll have the little.
I know, but part of me is just like, going, that's obviously what was going to happen.
Yeah, in a way, I get you. But
have you never seen King Ralph?
If I was going to marry, if someone was saying to me, if I had the opportunity to marry into, if I had the opportunity to marry into the royal family, you'd kind of be like, yeah, that sounds like it'd be mad.
Do I have to become a paedophile by default? No, I'm not. I don't want a part of whatever it is. I wouldn't. I'd be just like, fuck off. Are you fucking mad? I wouldn't have anything to do with them fucking Nazi imperialist fucking lizard people. The House of the Dragon, as Alex Jones calls them.
Is that what he got? The House of the...
Here's the really funny thing about Alex Jones. And when Alex Jones was on Joe Rogan, I loved it because Joe Rogan had to keep going, stop talking. You just made a fucking outlandish statement. We need to
rewind. That is actually what
and he actually, loads of his outlandish statements have elements of truth in them. Alex Jones is actually a master at presenting something, saying something in a way that makes it sound so outrageous. Like, he's on Andrew Schultz there in the last couple of days, and he's like, because they talk about the Meghan and Harry thing, and one of the first things he says is like, oh, Prince Charles is a direct descendant of Count Dracula. And you're like going, oh, it turns out Prince Charles is a direct descendant of Vlad the Impaler, who Bram Stoker based Count Dracula on. That's a fact.
Is that right?
And the way Alex Jones presents it to you in this sort of so heavy-handed way, is like, he's related to Count Dracula. He must, and you're like going, and the switches that get flicked in your head, it's like, whatever, like how he's eating children or whatever, and he's like, he does have a big castle in Transylvania. Prince Charles does.
Yeah.
Owns a big castle in Transylvania that he does boys' home stuff with. And of course Alex Jones says, and he lives in Count Dracula's castle with a load of orphans. And you're like going, and Alex Jones like, no, he doesn't. And then it turns out, no, he doesn't, but he does. You know what I mean? It's really
like, I'm so pissed off now. He kind of does.
Like, and the thing about, like, when he says,
those aren't
he's related
eggs.
to Count Dracula.
Those aren't
he's
eggs.
related to Prince Charles, the heir of the throne of England, is related to Count Dracula. And you're going, fuck it. But it's actually an anecdote that Prince Charles has been on record saying, like he says, I've got a bit of a stake in Romania. That's what Prince Charles said, because I'm actually a direct descendant of, or I'm a long, whatever. He is a descendant of Vlad the Impaler. And so it turns out I've got a bit of a stake in Romania.
Jesus
and you're like going...
But I feel like the people who listen to Alex Jones aren't going, yeah, of course, he's got that lineal thing with Vlad the Impaler. They're just going, all right, if Alex says, I guess he's a vampire. That's fucking
I thought it was funny though.
That's insane.
God bless Alex Jones.
Oh man, do you know actually my my weed dealer actually was explaining this to me about the lizard people thing. That he was like, you know, it's not that they're actually lizards, but that there's a part, the medulla, the part of the brain, it's like at the base of your spine, where it's like it's the lizard brain they call it. It's like
It's like they're enlarged in crocodiles and stuff like this.
yeah, where you make all your like very calculated, non-empathic, non-emotional.
The medulla oblongata.
I think is it?
Yeah, well, I think all anger comes from the medulla.
Is that maybe I've got it? Might have got it wrong. They call it the lizard brain anyway,
Okay,
and that
yeah.
he's saying that it's more that these people operate out of that part of their brain than that they're actually lizards wearing human
But then,
skin.
okay, so here's a really interesting thing.
But
Here's a really interesting thing then. So, because we've said like the Bullingdon Club and the Piers Gaveston, they create situations to make you disconnect from normal everyday people. Is the whole construct of the institution of the monarchy designed to keep you disconnected so you and automatically start using this part of your brain? Because
to make
then
you sociopathic, man, absolutely. It's like they should have a sign up in all of those places, in Number 10 and the Royal Family and fucking all of these houses of power. You don't have to be a sociopath to work here, but it fucking hurts, man, you know what I mean? And I actually think it is. And I want to jump in for
you don't have to be a
Churchill.
pedo to work here, but it helps.
Yeah, but you're gonna be.
Well, what's your stance on eating orphans?
And you have your own car. Great. Okay, cool. And have you got your P60
Full
form?
clean license?
That's great. Yeah. And what would you say about taking trips with Mr. Savile along
Into
the
Broadmoor.
Thames to Broadmoor prison? Yeah, no. So that's it is. But I
Let's
always
get this guy vetted. He's good.
yeah. Because people say Churchill was like a sociopath. It's like, well, I'm not taking him for Churchill. He was a motherfucker in so many ways. But he was also a funny guy. And he used to fucking souse himself every day. And I can't help...
to what?
Souse himself. He'd start the day off with like a bottle of champagne. Or he'd start the day off with like a brandy. He'd have a bottle of champagne with lunch. He'd be fucking hammered by noon,
3
right?
hours sleep a day this motherfucker had.
I think
During
he-
the Second World War, he had 3 hours sleep a day. I think I'm in agreement with you.
No, he was a mad, like, and he was a total, I'm in no way...
Interesting historical character.
Historical character.
And a
But if-
total bastard.
Total
Colonialist
bastard.
bastard.
But I think in a way he had
Racist
to
motherfucker.
reconcile all the horrible shit. That's why he had to fucking
No,
drink
because I'm
all
pretty
the time.
sure. Oh, well, yeah, that probably is why he had
That
to
he
drink all
wasn't
the time. But of
actually a
course, he's
sociopath. He
transcending.
just had to fucking get
rocked.
himself plowed
But at
until
the
he
same
could
time, like,
feel like he could do that shit.
he was in politics since before the First World War.
Oh,
a major political player.
yeah.
He was like Secretary of...
Secretary of Defense in the First World War. Can I tell you this story? And this is it's like an apocryphal story, but it is a mad. They used to say the death tolls were so bad that when he was at cabinet, when he was Secretary of Defense during World War One, and he'd have to make a speech. We'd have to tell them that, like, what they lost fucking 500,000 people in the Somme earlier that morning and all this stuff. So he'd start making a speech. What he used to do is he'd smoke these cigars and he'd put a needle down the end of his cigar, right? So that he'd make some big long preamble, and by the time he got down to reading out the death figures, his cigar would have burnt down enough. The ash would still be hanging onto it because it had a needle going through it. So no one would be listening to a word that he said. They'd all just be staring at the ash on his cigar, thinking,
that's
"When
true,
the
that's
fuck is
amazing.
this?" Isn't that kind
That's
of
amazing.
Isn't that like
master manipulator, political game shit? It's just like, no wonder you
he did what he did? Or
He
whatever.
did.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
I mean, look, you can't deny that he was hysterical. He was fucking intrinsic in World War II. Like, you can't deny this stuff. And you also can't deny that he was a piece of shit, imperialist, colonialist piece of shit, who relished in the idea of, like, you know, he's a racist.
But he was
what's he
also
saying?
raised, and like that's what I'm saying. All of these institutions, they raise you and they haze you. They raise you and they haze
raise
you
you and they haze
to
you.
be a fucking.
But that's my point. It's
sociopath.
like they raised and hazed that motherfucker 100 years ago, or whatever. Like, why are we still operating under the same sort of thing? But anyway, really, because here's the idea that because here's the other thing is, like, I don't follow British tabloid press, and like so I don't actually know about Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton or any of these people till we have a closer look at things. And then, but one of the things, like, I don't know if you ever, at the last Brit Awards, actually, I don't know how a video popped up. It was the last Brit Awards, and it was Dave. Do you know Dave? English rapper.
The TV channel. All right, the rapper.
He's an English rapper, and he was doing a live version of a song called Black. That's fucking dead. It's really good. And his live version, check out Dave Black live Brit Awards 2020, I think.
They're all single words. You can't fuck,
Yeah,
fuck it up.
you can't fuck it up.
Dave,
But
Black,
he says
Lord.
this thing, he tacked on for his, it's really powerful, his live version of Black. It's really fucking powerful. It's a powerful song anyway. It's a really powerful performance, and he puts a really fucking powerful verse that's not in the recorded version at the end of it. And one thing he says, because he says, the truth is our Prime Minister's a real racist, and they say we're the least racist, even a little bit racist is too racist. And I don't know how he bridges it, but he says, and if you can't see the difference between how they treat Kate and how they treat Meghan, and this is like, that's 6-7 months ago, and that was one thing, it was the first time I ever even, what that I thought would have even sort of entered into my brain. And then when we're looking at this thing, and they give 2 instances on the Oprah Winfrey Show of how the media, as the difference between how the media treated, or so what there's obviously, they do actually give more, but they give you 2 sort of identical scenarios side by side, comparisons, and how the media deal with it differently for both different people. And one of them is, the first one is the baby bump one.
That's mad.
Isn't it
Crazy.
fucking
They're almost
insane?
symmetrical in the 2 photos.
It's almost
like,
exactly like you said.
look at Kate and how she's
Yes.
nurturing. What is Meghan doing touching her bum?
But they say, actually for Meghan, they say pride and vanity.
Yeah, is it pride? Is it vanity?
And you're
Is it
just
some
like going,
weird
what
new
the
age
fuck?
thingy
And you're
thing,
looking
man?
at that going, what the fuck?
Or
That's
the
when
avocado.
and that's the avocado one. And I actually have it written, the exact wording, because I thought it was just fucking too interesting. Holding pump for pride and vanity. Kate eats avocado to help with morning sickness. Meg eats beloved avocados linked to human rights abuse and drought. Millennial shame.
Millennial shame.
Here's the thing. That's real. They reckon now that they reckon that 1 in every 3 avocados has actual human blood on it. And
What?
do you not know
Really?
this?
No.
That the cartels in Mexico, the drug
they're
cartels
growing
in Mexico,
avocados now. I have heard this.
well, they
actually,
waded into the avocado farms and killed everyone who worked on the avocado farms, killed all the avocado farms. They literally murdered them all and just said, now these are our avocado farms. The reason being,
These are people who were previously used to just selling and distributing cocaine are now like, let's get into this
because there's so much money in
business.
avocado, because you're spending $17.95 on your avocado toast up in fucking the Fern House in Invoca without asking any questions as to when so much money is involved, what actually happens to the people, like the displaced fucking poor people of Indonesia or wherever it is where they fucking make quinoa can no longer eat quinoa because you want to eat it in your fucking duck salad.
Is it South America? Is it, or is it Argentina or something like
Quinoa.
that? Quinoa, or
I
is it
thought
Indonesia?
quinoa was Indonesia. What?
Bolivia. Yeah, I think it might
Oh,
be
is
Indonesia.
it? Right, okay, sorry.
But anyway,
But Rob will check that out. Whoever the people who have lived for thousands of years on the indigenous grain of quinoa, they're out now because it's trendy, and you want to pay. You want to pay for it in with your superfood salad, with your pomegranates and your blah blah blah.
Or even like, I know this slightly less one, but even like agave syrup was like a big thing there about 5 or maybe even 10 years ago. And for like literally a year, the people who make agave, who weren't selling it to the tequila manufacturers, were obviously like, fucking people are going crazy for this stuff, man, we're rich. And it's like, what? It's just not a thing anymore in like the West. They're not doing it in these cafes. Oh, I guess we're back to
poor.
fucking whatever we were doing.
But some company made a lot of quids out of that.
Yeah, and it wasn't them.
What?
It was Bolivia.
Peru and Bolivia. Sorry, I was.
Of all of it.
It comes from there.
Yeah.
There's one guy in Sheffield who's fucking farming queen out the
got a hanger.
wazoo.
Just like, I used to grow hydroponic weed, but now we just do quinoa. Quinoa.
Quinoa, as I call it. I refuse to call it anyone else. I refuse to call it anyone else. Yeah.
Saffron. I used to know a lad who was big into growing weed, and he wanted to set up a saffron growing farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was a good idea, but he was
Saffron's crazy,
smoking too much joints. He never got it together. Anyway,
Smoking too much saffron.
smoking too much saffron is.
His lungs
is-
turn yellow.
I was going to say something. His lips are red. Yeah. Anyway, one thing, like, and here's the thing. Obviously, it seems that when the crown or when the monarchy turns on you,
Yeah.
you're fucking gone. Like, even the bit about the security for Harry, like, or even for the baby, and like, it's just like, I mean, I'm just like, I'm not willing to. So one thing, I'm not willing to have the conversation. I'm not even willing to entertain the idea that. Do you really think the piss buggers? Do you really think they changed the laws just because the baby was going to be black? Of course they did.
Yeah, what
They're
else?
not having that.
But
They're not having a mixed race. His Royal Highness Prince Archie.
Do you know what she?
They're willing to sell off Harry.
Yeah,
They're willing to cut him off financially from a security perspective.
Yeah.
That's what they're actually willing to do. They're willing to say Prince Charles probably has nothing to do with Harry. I'm like, I tell you what. Put it in writing, what it is you're proposing, he says to him or something. And even that, this is why I empathise a little bit with Harry, because he looks like the most normal out of them.
Man, I have a mate over in London, even years ago, do you know, who was saying he grew up with Harry getting done for like smoking weed and all this stuff. They're like, lads my age think Harry is the fucking lad. Do you know what I mean?
I like him, and actually he looks really honest.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got a lot of his mum in him, he looks like, whereas William's not. William's a saxophone.
Harry might have none of his dad.
It's funny you should say that, because definitely
I
I remember seeing a photo of one of these profilers of Harry and James Hewitt, isn't it? James Hewitt?
That's good, man. The army major or something, isn't
and
he?
he was. And there we go. James Hewitt was a sort of Tommy Lassel's Michael Dean. They're always these ex-army generals or majors that then end up running the institution of the monarchy. And it's just like, they're the last motherfuckers I want creating policy.
Megan actually says, when she was talking about when I went to the institution, and Oprah's like, what is that, several people? And she goes, one person. Well, it's several people. You could fucking tell there was one or maybe a couple of people, but one person. See, that's the thing. If this was the documentary, you'd need to be knowing who these characters are.
Who asked because basically I would assume that person she's talking about is the same person who asked the skin tone question. Maybe I'm wrong. Who asked the skin tone question, do you think?
Now, you see, this is from the family. I don't think it's someone I think it's the Tommy Lassells, whoever the Tommy Lassells is at the moment.
You think, no? You think he asked the skin tone question?
Yeah, I don't really know.
Charles,
I would say.
It can't be, because
my best guess would be Charles.
My best guess actually is William.
Really?
I have a feeling that William is just gone totally the other way, that he's totally in it. And that's why they don't attack Kate Middleton, because she is so obviously the picture of
Snow White, fucking
white Anglo-Saxon Protestant woman, like perfect, what do they call it when you're not, so if I'm the king, if I'm queen, the consort.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
So
basically, if I'm the actual king by lineage and I marry a woman, she becomes the queen consort. Yeah. And Kate Middleton fits the bill. She's look at her. And like I have to say, she's beautiful, Kate Middleton, she's really stunning. But at the same time, there's something about Kate Middleton that I don't like. There's something about her that reminds me of like a fucking Nazi war criminal. Honestly, there's something that I could just imagine.
The triumph of the will
eating
about
babies. Like, I could imagine her eating an orphan for some reason. And then William as well. He just looks. Oh, sorry. But the thing about it is that today, I remember seeing a photo of James Hewitt and Harry side by side and going, "Oh my god, that's obviously." I don't believe that. I think he looks like Prince Charles personally. Okay. I think he does.
Got similar kind of eyes and everything, I guess.
Yeah, it's there. You're right. It's there. It's the square, and actually the jaw as well. He's got that sort of underbite and the dimpled arse chin and all. Yeah, but the thing about it is that James Hewitt probably looks a bit like Prince Charles as well.
Yeah, they all
look the same. So they all got terrible teeth and all, because they're fucking interbreeding, incestuous cum guzzlers who just have set up this system to consistently live in money forever. It's an unfallible, unbreakable load of bollocks. Yeah. And if you can't see that, if you think it's all right to have an old woman with a fucking gold hat going around a gold car while you're poor as fuck, then you're stupid and you deserve it.
That's
we touched on the thing. So you think it's Charles? Because Charles you think it's Charles. Like, I'm not saying there's no. It's just we can't know.
It's funny when you say William though, because when they asked Harry about his relationship with his brother, he says, which is really like kind of
Telling.
going, yeah, we're not fucking talking to each other
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
Very possibly. And again, not to go back to The Crown again, but there is that bit where Charles it's like Prince Andrew's wedding or whatever, and Prince Charles is there like, why the marriage of some minor royal, like basically being a total, as you imagine you would.
Say that again?
As in once
What's
you're...
he saying though?
He's saying, oh, why is there all this fuss over a minor royal? I mean, you're whatever in line to the throne. I mean, and if William has children, he'd be even further away. In other words, I'm the only one who fucking matters, the heir. And you can imagine
this
that
is one thing I don't
would
understand.
get to you as
It's like,
well.
why? But is he going to be king? Why?
William,
How come
yeah. Well,
Charles is not going to be king at this stage?
do you see? There's another question.
That's what I'm asking. Like, another question I'm going to ask is, why is the Queen so fucking old? Like, these cunts are nearly 100. Why don't you say, you've done great?
Time to die.
Well, like, not time to die, just time to put you out into the
Step aside.
pastures.
But
Like,
that's
put you out the stud or whatever it is.
It's kind of like the Pope, man. That just doesn't happen. It's such a weird, such a stupid
I just
thing.
think,
That just
and that
doesn't
for me,
happen.
it's just like going, why do we have people in their 90s in control of powerful institutions today?
How in control are they in some ways? And do you know what it's like? We were saying about the Robert Mugabe thing before. That, remember, he was like well into his 90s a year or so ago. He was going for election again, and they were like, if he wins this election in quotes, this democratic election in quotes, Zimbabwe will have a 100-year-old president. And it's like, how's he still vying for power? He's at that age. It's like, if he's not in power anymore, he'd be
just
he'd be
dead.
dead.
Just die.
It's his
Yeah,
only
well, look,
lifeline.
guess what,
It's the only
love?
thing keeping
You've
him
had a
going.
fucking good run.
Yeah.
You've seen more than the most of us. You've spent more money than any of us.
But it just doesn't happen. Other than her uncle, no one has ever stepped.
But he
aside.
abdicated. Like,
Yeah,
and they never. Here's the thing: they never forgave Edward for that. Now he turned out to be a fucking
Oh, he was a Nazi. He was
Nazi
a fucking
who said
fan of
well
Hitler.
after the Second World War that Hitler wasn't really a bad chap.
We love. Me and Wallace
Said he
loved
wasn't
doing
a bad
meth
chap.
with him. We loved fucking doing
Pervitin. We're smoking Pervitin.
meth bombs in our champagne in the evening. Yeah, that's literally what they used to fucking.
That
do.
was her name, wasn't it? Wallace Simpson.
Wallace Simpson. Yeah, good man. Yeah.
So I just thought that was so interesting, the like how that happened in 1932, I think, which is nearly 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It's 88 years ago. And you still are dealing with that same bullshit and you're not willing to learn or evolve in any way. Like I said, perfect opportunity just to go, look, some of this stuff's a bit fucking dated and draconian. Like William or some progressive younger member of the family just go, some of what we do here is just, and I think it's too alienating. It's becoming too alienating. Here's a way to bring us back into the public fold as we can just sort of go, and maybe that's too calculated or whatever, and they shouldn't do that because it is not really based in integrity or what the issue is. But even at that, it would have been an opportunity just to go, we can sort of rewrite the rule book here because let's be honest, a lot of this stuff is very dated and ridiculous.
It's the tradition and the pomp and circumstance and all of it. And in fairness, look, man, we don't know. We aren't connected to a fucking 1,200-year tradition.
It's one
in
thing
that sense,
and
or
like
institutions,
we're talking about the trapped thing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was really interesting, and to see how like what's her name, Oprah Winfrey. She didn't take offense, but she was like trapped.
Yeah,
she was
You're
on the
saying-
defensive
yeah,
about it,
you
and I was
come
like,
from this land of privilege and whatever.
but the thing about it is like how that's what I really liked about her because like the balance, and it's like going, I've got a huge amount of compassion for the position that my brother and my father are in, and I understand what he's saying. Again, the working class lunatic socialist in me is like, fuck them, give them a semi-detached house in a council estate and 250 grand, and they should be happy. And talk to me about trapped.
Walk back from Vassar Road.
Yeah. Get in the fucking car, lads. We're gonna drop you off down the road here.
Yeah.
Bop.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's, you're going back to the King Henry VIII thing. It's like, we're already trapped. You were going around to fucking Thomas Cromwell and shit going, find me a way so I can fucking have her executed, all right? I don't care how you do it. Just make it happen. Do you know what I mean? Now you, I'm going for shit. Follow me in, right? With the, and use the good sponge.
Where's the hammock with the hole in it?
Yeah, oh jeez, yeah. Whereas, but now it's flipped. It's the reverse. It's like you've become the opposite. You are the fodder. You're the plaything of, insofar as the media are kind of like, or the tabloids anyway, think they're like this fucking sordid end of the national consciousness. It's like,
Okay.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't exist. You exist on a stage. You're born on the public stage, and you fucking die on it, and you don't kind of live your life outside of it, you know.
I just am like, I'm without empathy for it, because it's like you are just.
Do you think, would Britain be better off?
It's too late now.
With the head of state, see, they're never gonna,
It's
and
too
they're
late.
never gonna.
What they're
unplug
just
from
trying to
that
do is just trying to
tradition.
phase out any constitutional rights, any potential for influencing policy, any of that stuff. They should just cut it all out. And like, you know, even the way they say, oh, Prince Philip has been on like fucking 10,000 world tours or something like this. Actually, the number of tours he's done is mind-boggling. The amount of air miles he's done, I read anything. And this is, people are saying this to promote him and his position. I'm going, fuck him.
Yeah.
How much did that cost on top of his 82 million salary? And they're trying to tell me that, like, there's a really interesting point where it's just like, okay, see, I have this written here. Why won't Archie be Prince, with a question mark? That was asked by Oprah. Why won't Archie be Prince? And then she says, if he was brown, it would be. So who said if it was brown? Like, there's a bit where it's just like, obviously he's not going to be Prince because he's brown. Like, and you're saying, if he was brown, would it be a problem? It's like, of course. Do you know what would have been brilliant? Imagine he came out like mad black. Do you know what I mean? Like real dark. That would have been the best. Just a little cherry on the top. Just like mad black with a big red afro.
Little Biggie Smalls.
Little Biggie Smalls. That's exactly what I said. Afro. Like at the front of Ready to Die. Yeah. Just like that's him. Snappy. He's got a sort of ready afro. Oh, that would have been the best.
Yeah,
just like
little Malcolm X throw on him.
Then we'll have to kill her. But the thing about the...
So the other thing I was going to say is that, did you ever Edward, the Black Prince of Wales? This was back in the medieval era, right? Now I can't remember whose son, but his
is that true?
Yeah, he was known as the Black Prince of Wales because his one of his parents was Moorish. She was from very Moorish.
Persian.
She was from North Africa. Kind of.
Okay, so from North Africa, right? Sorry, pardon me, not Persian.
Morocco or Algeria would be. Anyway, that's because
that's interesting. I'm actually gonna have a look at that.
He was the Black Prince, and
Bridgerton.
Why did he call? Yeah. Well, I'm not seeing any of that now.
I've never seen it either, but as soon as I looked at it, it's like, what is this? British aristocracy sort of drama. But there's an Indian guy there and a black person. That would never happen.
Yeah, look, I have a thing about this TV shows. Like, I admire your forward thinking, your inclusiveness and everything like that.
It's just a TV show.
Is it whenever you see that, or like there'll be some party back in the 50s, it's like, oh wow, that's so nice of you that there's an ethnic couple there or whatever. It's like there's no way. Whereas I much more admire things like The Nick. Have you ever watched The Nick?
No.
With Clive Owen and your man and fucking what's Bono's daughter's in it as well. But your man, whose name I forget, plays Algernon, the black doctor in it. Dude, like they do not shy away from. He can't turn around without somebody saying something racist to him. And I'm there going, that is what it was. For 100% what it was like. Yeah. Like, let's not fucking try rewrite the past.
Yeah,
place
that's
where
my point. It's
racism
just like,
didn't exist.
Exactly.
It's like, fucking, isn't it?
It's just like, let's not pretend like this is even a possibility. Or, like, if you shout that to a member of the royal family, they would almost laugh at how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
Black aristocrats.
Yeah, get Uncle
That's very
Phil in
sweet,
here.
isn't it? It's really nice.
Yeah.
You know.
Now it's different if you're doing, if it's kind of an acknowledged, like if you're doing Shakespeare or you're doing something where it's kind of set in its own world anyway. No problem.
Yes.
I'm not saying that.
No,
but if you're making a historical thing.
Well, I don't even know if Bridgerton's an historical thing, but it's just like I'm looking at it going, because I know that you are racist, rotten bastards who consider yourself divine and better than people based on your lineage.
That's at the core of who you are.
That's the bedrock of who you are.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm going, like, are we
system.
even having a conversation about racism in the monarchy? Are we even having the conversations, will they tolerate or accept a black, His Royal Highness Prince? No, they won't. No, they won't. And that's why they actually won't. There's not going to be His Royal Highness Prince Archie mixed race child. That's not going to exist.
Was that going to be his name? Jeez, that seems excessive. But the
Look, it's Prince Archie, mixed race child.
But the institution would have grumbled and they would have whatever. But I bet you their whole thing was they were probably, in a way, looking forward to her coming into the family because they were like, this will be a great PR coup for us. This will go down really well.
But they could have at least done that. And I mean, that's what I was saying earlier on. Is like, even if they had been looking after their own self-interest, it would, like, you know what I mean? It still could have been an opportunity.
They fucked up, but I'm saying it was the tabloids. They thought she was going to go down really well in the press, and she did go down really well, I'd say, in the international press largely.
Yeah, it was the tabloids. I know.
She stepped in, and she stepped in at a time when Britain is going through one of its bullshit fucking phases of, you know, this whole Brexit thing. Like it's
well, it's not really bullshit. It totally identifies for us that now in the 21st century, there's still the majority or the voting majority, whatever the fuck happened with Brexit, it was sold to them on a true nationalism. So you're still actually, not only does that woman iconise Great Britain and imperialism and colonialism and the Commonwealth, and but you buy it.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, I missed my point there.
No, well, let me say this. This might sound, whatever, but in a way, like when you look at, let's say Germany is an example of somewhere who in a very intense and extreme period had one of the most nationalistic, genocidal, like fucked up governments imaginable, and then they were completely demolished. The Allies overran the place, made them eat shit for years, split the country apart. They're finally back together. And now that they've just eaten so much fucking spoonfuls
but they didn't eat that much shit.
And guilt and guilt.
Well, I was supposed to eat that, maybe.
That's what I'm saying about, like, they have such an attitude about nationalism now that it's sort of right out the window. I'm not saying
it's illegal.
Exactly.
But I mean, that's
Britain,
a totally different other...
Britain, man, did so much shit. Arguably...
But you see,
I don't know. On aggregate, did probably as much shit as Nazi Germany.
The Brits got to rewrite history for themselves.
Exactly, over such a long period of time, and they've never eaten shit over it.
No,
they have never been brought to bear.
Not in a big way.
They've had to apologise for a few things. David Cameron had to apologise for Bloody Sunday.
The souls they seed around the world are still having an effect on people today.
Oh, without question.
Without question, and
look at we're speaking English right now. There's, I mean, that's
and I mean that's, and I mean, to be honest with you, and the Irish, I know we're sitting here speaking English and all that, I don't feel that we have anywhere near the same amount of sort of residual socio-economic problems as a result of British imperialism as they do in Africa, as they do in the Middle East.
No, socio-economic, absolutely not. In terms of national psychology, I think.
National psychology, okay, yeah.
The epigenetic, all this kind of thing.
It's funny there that you were talking about the Commonwealth, and then, like, it's just like, and this is because it's still right there. You can still see 60% of the Commonwealth is people of colour, and like people who would have been referred to by the leaders of the Commonwealth, the head of the Commonwealth, or the royal family, as savages and looked upon as like total animals who needed to be guided by divine beings such as themselves.
She makes the point, it's like, but how could they be racist? 60 and 70% of the people they used to rule
I know,
are people of colour. And it's like, they were at the
point.
Fucking
and even
bottom
now,
of the
like these
scale.
tours, and you've been on them, love. Like, it's like we go, we're not racist. Look, we go to our old colonies and indulge your actual culture for an afternoon and then go again on a fucking private jet. Like, you know, it's just like bullshit. They're just actually, it's so
man, I was thinking about, do you know the Alexander the Great's theory of ethnic superiority? He believed that mixed race was the master race and that the future now, so he ruled what was all of the known world, like a laughably small portion of it. But it was all anybody had on a map anyway at the time. So he thought, how am I going to consolidate this empire? He had all of these nations united, but he saw that the different races of people might, start to fight just because human beings will naturally look for any slight difference between themselves to form in different groups. So he said he I don't know if he was going to make it into law or any kind of policy, but he decreed that, or he envisions a future where within a few generations everybody just intermingled.
universal colour or type of ethnicity.
Exactly.
But that's gonna happen.
I hope it fucking does,
fucking
man.
right,
I
but it
hope
is
in a
gonna
couple
happen,
of
and that'd be
generations, the average human is just a sort of a, you know, got
Sallow
a nice tan,
skin,
sallow skin
sort of
looking-
vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Boom. I don't. Just, you know. It's, and again, so I suppose like. I don't know. Was there any parts? Because I suppose actually now this hasn't been about the Meghan Markle interview.
Oh no, it has, man. I mean,
Okay,
where is it? It's embedded in all these different.
Well, because
global
that's my
fucking
point. It's just like I just want to be like the evidence is there that like the monarchy symbolizes imperialism. So for me, it is therefore racist by default. Is the Queen a racist? Who knows? But again, she is the personification of a racist institution with ideals and ideas about themselves, delusions of grandeur, divinity. Like that's not like that's what they think. That's the construct she has lived her whole life by. And so whether or not she's a racist is irrelevant. The monarchy symbolizes racism. That is projected onto the British people. It is published via tabloid newspapers and consumed all in one big circle. And so, I mean, you really have to take a look at yourself, look at the Brexit situation, how that was pushed over the line by nationalist ideals and stuff like this. It's just like, lads, man,
whipping it up.
look what you printed in your papers. Look what you said, you know. And so don't turn around Piers Morgan now and try and say that this isn't happening. It's happening, and it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not even really up for debate.
Yeah, they still deep down, man, that whole institution and its lackeys around the world, they still, and the conservative thing, they still, it's, I guess it's kind of, in a way, it's the reprisal, or it's an element of the reprisal anxiety. It's the gratitude fallacy, you could almost say, that they secretly really think that, dude, we complain about, God, you shot 13 people dead in the streets of Derry in the 70s, and that wasn't very nice. Oh, fuck off, Paddy. You fucking love it, right? Your trains still run on time? No, well, they probably don't, because we haven't been fucking in charge for 7 years. Everyone around the world.
It's all going to pot since Great Britain got out of it.
We fucking, you know, you wouldn't be.
Well, no, actually, what you did is you waited in there and you fucked situations that you knew nothing about, and then you want to sort of, like you said, say we should be grateful of because you gave them the alphabet or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. You set Britain and England as the most amazing place you could possibly aspire to be like or to live, and then when they fucking followed you home, you got fucking
what are you doing
lost
here,
your
mate?
shit. What are you doing here? This ain't for you. So what was the message? What part of the message was I not fucking getting?
Well, I think in the 50s they actually said we need to get immigrants into the country.
Yeah.
They needed an influx of
48,
labour.
the Windrush. Yeah.
So, right, okay, so that's what it is.
48,
They need an influx of labour, and then it's like, you do that, and you get that labour, and then you see, it's like, who are these cunts?
Yeah.
Get out of here, you fucking...
What are you living in now? I thought you were just going to take
Oh,
the
why don't you
bins
fuck
out.
off where you come from? It's just like, mate...
Can't you clean the toilets and then fuck
exactly,
off? Yeah,
you fucking asshole.
Man.
So basically, I suppose the whole point of it is fuck the Queen. No, we're going to edit that bit. Make a note. So I suppose the whole point...
I can't hate her. Maybe it's because of the crown. I can't hate her as a person. But yeah, the institution... Fuck the royal family as an institution. But like I said,
I know,
they're
but
not
it's
the
just
ones in charge.
Yeah, no, I know. But if you're not going to be part of the solution, you're part of the problem, and therefore you're with them.
True enough, yeah.
You know?
All that
I would love to
shit's
see
gotta
someone
go, man.
fucking lay down their life. I would love to see a member of the royal family be willing to lay down their life to fucking... to at least die with integrity.
Yeah.
And go, this is fucked, I'm taking it apart. No, I'm in charge, I'm taking it apart. But William's not going to do that. He's going to slide in and be a fucking perfect little, like, white Anglo-Saxon fucking douchebag.
Now, in a way, though, again, it's like the Britney thing, not to shine on now, but don't you have people, you know, you have, like, all of these cunts around you in their expensive suits and their Earl Grey tea. There's probably thousands of them, and you're like, are you going to destroy all of this? You're going to leave all of these people on their arse, on their oversized inbred ears.
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
That is, isn't it? Don't they even look like unhealthy and sort of sickly and all? There's a picture at the start of that. I think it's at the exact point where she says the word 1200-year institution, because that really stuck with me. And there's a picture of them all on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, and it's like going, Look at them fucking unhealthy, grey-looking rednecks.
Yeah.
Them bald fucking, like, sickle cell-looking motherfuckers. Look at the state of these cunts. They look anemic. They look anemic. And they're all like... And it's like, how could this group of human beings, how could you ever look at that picture in your right mind and go, oh yeah, they're the divine leaders of head and state. It's like, get these cunts out of here. They're conning you, man, to the tune of like fucking hundreds of millions of pounds a year.
Yeah.
And like when, and then a situation like the Meghan Markle thing happens, it's like, where she's not that, but she somehow ended up in the situation. They fucking feed her to the wolves.
Trying to bring some new blood into it.
Whatever. I don't even think she was trying to bring... She just met a guy who she was in love with. But at the same time, it's just like... They're just like, well, you don't fit the mold. We'll give you a chance.
Yeah.
Everyone's very welcoming. But as soon as it's obvious and you're not...
Yeah.
You can try all you want, bitch. You can do as many curtsies as you want. You're not them.
Yeah.
You're not. Like, it's a mindset, it's a lineage thing, it's environmental, it's how they're brought up, it's how they're taught to look at other members of society. You're not that, and you should be happy you're not that, by the way. But they're going to tear you apart. They're going to throw you under the bus, because if you're not the enemy, if you're not the piece of shit, then they are, and if they are, then the house of cards falls apart. And if the public opinion turns on them, they're done.
And I think they're miserable, man, because they live under that. They live under that fear at all times.
And at the same time, I don't care. I hope they're miserable.
Yeah.
No, I am. I hope they're really depressed and miserable the whole time.
Well, I don't think I could wish that on anybody. Yeah. And I hope every one of you... No, I don't hope they're not. I fucking hope they get rid of the institution and, you know...
But they're not going to. So let them suffer in fucking spiritual agony.
I want to see Prince William off his shit in a gay bar in Berlin in fucking 10 years from now.
He's
just
probably done it, man.
partying
He's probably
away.
sucked more dick than me and you. And we've sucked a few.
We have sucked a good few penises in our time. We are connoisseurs.
Connoisseurs.
De la cock. That was good though. I wish Harry and Meghan well, and
I wish Harry and Meghan well as well, to be honest with you. For some reason, a mad cynical thing, I don't think, and only time will tell, I don't think they're going to survive. I don't think either as a couple they will survive, or I think she will end up dead.
You think dead? Really? Yeah.
Slipped on a ladder, hanging up something that happened.
Slipped on a ladder.
Reaching for the top shelf, banged her head. She's dead.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or they break up and he goes back.
He goes back in, do you think?
I would say, no, I don't think that. But I would say one thing I would say about Harry is that guy must be under fucking serious pressure, and I give him that. Like I said, I actually empathise and to some degree sympathise with Harry a little bit, and I respect that he can identify the fact that his brother and his dad are a bit trapped, and he has compassion for the situation they're in and considers himself lucky to have got out of it. I have respect for all of that. He must be under serious fucking pressure, man.
From who? From
just in life, in general, the pressure that he must be feeling given the situation. Like, you're talking about a guy who was devoid of any sort of normal upbringing. The one thread of normality in his life is taken away from him, his mother. There's so much ambiguity connected to that. Like, did your fucking granny have her knocked off? Was it a media thing? Did your dad have her knocked off? Is he even your dad? How lonely that kid must have been at certain periods of his life, I can really understand and
imagine
empathise
having
with.
your deepest, darkest thoughts and like, God, I better get rope in the newspaper. Oh, there it is. There's my, am I adopted?
It's less like that.
Was my dead mama slut? Oh, it's all
must be
here.
so
I
lonely,
don't even have to think it. It's all here in the fucking papers. Do you reckon? Do you reckon he'll be smoking a blunt on the Joe Rogan podcast 3 weeks from now?
Not 3 weeks from now, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they're probably all drug addicts. They are all drug addicts.
Pretending not to know what it is. Oh, it's a blunt. Is that what you're saying, Joe? I'm ready to get my munch on.
Shit, brother.
Get me some hot apple turnovers.
Is that Kush?
Couple
That's
cheeseburgers.
Kush.
You didn't stick this properly. Yeah. I hope so.
Did you notice that when we were both doing that, we put on a black man's accent?
Yeah, I was completely aware of it. I was quoting a thing though. I was quoting the Chronic.
Oh, so I'm just racist. You're
yes.
all right.
I'm sorry
You're
about
quoting
you,
the Chronic. I'm Reginald Stereotyper. And with that, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Stay safe out there.
Stay safe out there, whatever it is you're doing. Beware of kings and queens. And tabloids.